All right, everyone. I'm doing things a little bit different for this long form video. I'm just gonna talk and go through my sketchbook. This is my first sketchbook tour ever. It's the first sketchbook I think that I've ever filled out entirely, other than when I was in life drawing class and we were doing, sketches and every single page. And this is a painting sketchbook. I know that there is some debate over what a sketchbook actually is. A sketchbook is anything you want it to be. So I decided I was going to learn how to use gouache. I mostly used acrylic paints through most of my life. And I don't know, it's not that it's so different. I am using traditional gouache, so that's a little bit different. It's water soluble. I have used watercolors and things in the past, but the water soluble gouache just works for my lifestyle. I have a small house gremlin, and it allows me to walk away from my palette and come back to it and still have opaque, beautiful colors. So let's get into it. The first 5 pages of this sketchbook were unplanned. I just kind of took medium to paper and was trying stuff out. I did look at some tutorials by an artist called Ruth Wilshaw. I will link her down below. I've linked her before. She does a lot of like landscapes, magical landscape type stuff. So, and she paints with gouache. So I watched what she was doing. This was just my attempt at a magical landscape, kind of inspired by some of her tutorial videos. Also just kind of trying out foliage and magical landscapes. I used a sealant on these because I was testing it out. I don't know if you can see that. Wax medium and like a little pad to seal these. It does change the color a little bit. It makes it a little darker and the brush strokes a little bit more obvious. I don't hate it, and it makes it so that water won't lift it. It's for use on like gouache and watercolors and water soluble mediums, I guess. I haven't put it on my other paintings because I haven't scanned them in, and it does change the look a little bit. I don't know if I will. This is just a sketchbook. I was watching Wish with my house gremlin and, testing out a paint. Again, very little in the way of planning or sketching, just trying out the colors to see what I could get. As most of you who have seen my videos know by now, big fan of mermaids. So, just trying out water droplets, mermaids. I was trying to layer colors because of the way it's water soluble. It lifts colors behind it if you fuss around with it too much. So they kind of use the coral as a way to figure out and learn how to work with that and not against it. My mom really likes bears. So I was like, I'll paint a bear. I don't know, it's a purple bear. Okay. So there's 2 paintings on the next page, and these are the 2 paintings that I felt like I really was getting the hang of it, and I was like, this is great. I really love these. I'm really happy with how they look, and I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun painting these. Big fan of faces and portraits and things. Yeah, these were my favorite. I loved the matte color. I love the way gouache is matte. That's first off my favorite thing. I know there are people who like really glossy finishes. I'm a big fan of matte finish. I like the depth. I like the way it looks. And I enjoy it. All right. So we have this lady here. The reason why I painted this is actually this dress. I don't know if you guys saw on social media, but it got really, really big. This weird choir style dress that was like, it's modest, but also, a little bit cute because you can cinch it around the waist. And it was just something that I was seeing on my feed. And I was like, that dress looks very like a choir outfit from when I was a kid, but I really liked how it looked. So I was like, I'm gonna paint that dress. And I did a painting with it, and that's the beginning and the end of where that inspiration came from. This was another one that was really early where it was just a sketch. and I didn't really love how it looked, and then I came back and worked on it a little bit more. And it's not, you know, I mean, I like it. Just, you know, it was something I was having fun screwing around with. I really like the background here. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, there you go. I just thought it was a lot of fun. I based it off the kudzu in my yard, and I don't know. I did this more recently. The beginning of it, I finished right after the first couple of pages in my sketchbook, I guess. It was like the 6th or 7th painting that I started working on, and I really didn't like it, so I waited until recently to finish it. And I like how it came out. I think it's pretty. So this is our magical forest landscape. Let me turn it here. I do have a painting process video of this, both a long one and a short one. Again, it's another one of my recent ones. It's something that I had sketched out a little bit with paint and everything beforehand. And again, it's one of the last things I finished in my sketchbook. So yeah, I really like it. It's a fun color. Nothing ever turns out exactly how I plan. I don't know many artists especially people who fly by the seat of their pants like I do, work who turns out exactly how they plan. But I was working on the brick in this one. Again, I wanted to start working on environments, so I planned these guys out. Like I've mentioned before, I have stories I want to tell, and, you know, practicing environments and things to help you tell a story is important. Practicing things that you've not done a lot of, very important. I put a little black cat in the window here. But yeah, little environments that I've been very happy with. These were the first videos I posted. Not my favorite. They're fine. I like them. I like the colors, but I was still getting used to the medium. These are the first thing I painted after that back here. Where are we? The first 2 portraits that I painted. I painted these, and then I was like, oh man, these turned out really nice. And then I painted these. I jump around in my sketchbook because sometimes I plan stuff out and I have sketches and then I move on and then I come back to them. Anyway, I really liked how those other ones turned out, and I was like, let's try it again. And these are fine. It's like I got really comfortable, and then I was like, you know what? I don't know. They're fine. They're fine. These are our 3 muses. I don't know if you remember these lovely ladies, but I really like her. She's my favorite. The other ones are fine also. Again, you know, figuring out how to work within the medium. She ended up looking like Marge Simpson, which was not the plan. And if you didn't see it before, you can see it now. Green dress, blue hair, yellow skin. You know, young Marge Simpson. Do you guys remember that episode when she's young and she's got like the pretty flowing hair, and then she gets married and suddenly she's got like a weird bouffant updo type thing? I remember. Anyway, not the plan, but that's how it turned out. Okay. This is our vampire romance painting. She's actually one of the most popular paintings I've ever done, next to like maybe the Goblin Princess one. Everyone was like meh about her, and I feel the same way. Meh, she's fine. Again, I don't go at these with like really heavy plans. I just I like to play with the paint. There are things that I plan out, but this is a sketchbook, and I kind of went at it with very little thought, maybe a rough sketch, and then, you know, I moved on. This is Jack. He's part of our mermaid story. This is a guy. He's fine. My husband really likes him. I don't know. I like the colors a lot, and I realized that I had no men in this book other than the goat man, who's not really a man, and he's barely visible in the magical forest, but he's there, and he's technically a man, although he was painted after these guys were painted. So I realized there were no men in my sketchbook, so I decided to add a couple of men. This is a very loose self-portrait. I don't look exactly like this, but it is kind of what I look like. Again, it was just an early sketch in my sketchbook. It was one of the first sketches. I kind of filled out my sketchbook with loose sketches or loose ideas. If you've seen my videos, you know how loose I mean. So it was just something that I'd painted in between, working on other things. It was something that I painted for myself that I didn't film because you can't film everything. Sometimes you just got to paint for you. Magical tree, glowing underneath, fish underneath. Again, this was one of like the earlier paintings that I had done, and I was still figuring out how to make it look more solid and less patchy, especially because gouache, again, it was being lifted with water. So still kind of working out how to use gouache when I painted this, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. And it's a little magical tree, a little glowing on the leaves. I dig it. Mermaid. You guys know how I feel about mermaids. I think I just was talking about my favorite version of mermaid lore, which is wronged woman who seeks revenge or retribution. Again, just having fun. I didn't use any kind of reference for her. I think it's obvious, and she's a little bit cartoonier looking. My Goblin Princesses. She's the same person. It's one person. My Goblin Princess, singular. Yeah, I'm working on paintings of her parents at this point. That's what I'm working on. So she's a Goblin Princess, and she has a high fae father and a goblin mother. The only reason why the pairing works out is because her mother is uncommonly pretty. It's not that goblins are ugly, they're not the same kind of ethereal beauty that the high fae look for. So they allowed the pairing. It was allowed by her father. I don't know. I'm still working out the story details. But her mother was pretty. That's why she got to marry a high fae lord. Goblins have like their own system and kingdom and whatever. She was just a normal goblin. She wasn't like a goblin princess or anything. So this is her. And this is one of her little creatures. We'll get more into that later. I don't know if I can even post what they are. I have lore around her little creatures, but I can't get too into it because I don't know if it would violate community guidelines, and that's something I regularly try and avoid. But yeah, I liked her stone floor, her little thing. Way more comfortable with gouache at this point. Loving it. So this is, I think this was the last painting in the sketchbook, mermaid, part of our mermaid story. This is, our mermaid that was taken in by her friend and held captive for like 100 years and, had a baby. And then her grandson found her and was like, Grandpa, you can't keep her here, and released her. So, I feel like this painting and this doesn't match. I'm okay with it. I kind of like the mixing, but this is a little bit more detailed, and this is super graphic and flat as compared to what she is. But I think it kind of works out because the whole idea is that, she's back in the ocean, in the open sea, and there's a portal being opened for her by the universe or whatever to go back into maybe one of the ponds around the house. She's trying to get back to keep an eye on her grandson and maybe do something else. We don't know. We're not there yet. But I think the separation of style is kind of cool because it denotes like opening of a portal from her being in the sea and her being in the ocean and her being in a pond. There we go. So yeah. So again, this was the last painting I did, and there's many more pages. So skipping around quite a bit, guys. This is her first painting, that mermaid. This is the Gilded Cage mermaid, and she's just kind of, in there. I'm just going to kind of talk about the stories at this point, because I think most of these have stories now. And I've already kind of discussed how I feel about the gouache. I love gouache. I'm really excited to use some acrylic. I know that's not true gouache, but it's matte acrylic, basically, I think, is kind of how I feel about it. But it's something that I'm not going to be using until I have a little free time to use it without wasting it. And yeah, I know wet palettes are a thing, but I always manage to not come back to them before they dry out. Anyway, this is the original mermaid painting. This is her in the Gilded Cage. He built her like an indoor swimming area that connected to all the other ponds and fountains. And this is our first Ghost Bill painting. Do you guys remember Ghost Bill? Him just waiting around. His mother didn't even wait for him. What a jerk she was, huh? I really am proud of myself with how the floor came out. I know that's silly, but it was a lot of fun. And I kind of worried at it for a little bit. But yeah, I really love this. I love him. I think this is one of my favorite paintings in here. And I know that it's probably not the most popular, but the Ghost Bill paintings, this one, and then there's one other, and I think they're my two favorite in this book, but this is one of them. This is one of my favorites. I just think it's so cute, and I just like it. She's part of our vampire romance story. She is the girlfriend. I have not continued that story because I think there needs to be more, and I wanted to finish the sketchbook, so I'm working on larger paper. So now I might continue their story. This was just for funsies. This was just me painting for funsies. No real story here. Just funsies, testing stuff out. This is the other favorite Ghost Bill painting, and it's vivid and colorful, and I just really love how it turned out. I didn't have a real heavy plan for that one either. It just kind of worked out. I'm glad I went with it because it's up there with one of my favorites. This is a mermaid one. They're in the same universe, Ghost Bill and this mermaid. And this is another portal. And yeah, it's a portal into the garden. It could also be that Bill had come in or out of there. We don't know. Maybe they're wandering around in the same universe, and the deity that's in charge is kind of using the portals to help out certain individuals and also, cause the magic in human worlds to bleed back into each other. Two birds, one stone. I just did these for Shark Week. I was having fun. I'm really proud of this shark. I really love it. These are just whatever. They're fine. And I painted her in there because I remembered that one. I don't know if it had anything to do with Shark Week, but I remembered on Animal Planet how they had that mermaid mockumentary, but they didn't tell anybody it was a documentary or a mockumentary or a not real documentary. Not a mockumentary. They didn't tell anybody it wasn't a real documentary until later. And so many people were like, oh my God, there are mermaids. I don't know. It just made me think of that. Juniper! This is Juniper. I think she has one of the more fun stories, and we'll see what she gets into later. She's one of those little tiny fairies, and she can be human-sized, but only for short periods of time. And she's like the oldest of the tiny fairies because they get squished so often. And she's bored, and so she goes out into the human world, and she's like, hey, human men. Men? What are men? She discovers she has fun. So she's a lot of fun. This is another Ghost Bill painting. It's fine. I think the other ones are better. I think he's kind of looking out over the sea and thinking about exploring the sea. And that's it. This is the last page. And these were not my last paintings done in the sketchbook. They just were on the last page. So, yeah, I'm super proud of myself. I feel like I really picked up how I like to use gouache. Maybe there are better ways to use gouache, but I figured out how I like to use it, which is the important bit, right? Because I'm the one using it. And I love it. And I'm super proud of myself for finishing this sketchbook. This whole thing started because I got laid off, and in my job hunt, it gave me time to paint. And I decided that I was going to do something with my time that was more than just sitting around hoping to find a job, because there's no point in stressing about that. I either will or I won't, and then I'll figure it out. But yeah, I'm incredibly proud of myself, and I'm excited to start working on the next steps of my projects. I've already started a couple new sketchbooks, one for acrylic markers, and another one for paint. And yeah, if you guys have questions, let me know. I look through this and I'm so proud of myself, and I can see, obviously not in order because I didn't paint in order, but I can see how much better I've gotten over the past couple of months working out of this sketchbook. And I'm really excited to keep painting. I wish I could just paint all the time. I'm hoping this can be a full-time job eventually, but until then, I'll be happy to just keep doing for myself. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for going through my sketchbook with me, and I hope to see you all around. I hope to see you on some of my next projects, talking about some of my new stories and continuations of old stories. If you liked my video, please like. If you are interested in seeing more, please subscribe. And I hope to see you all next time. Bye, everyone.